Hello and welcome to this video, and this video is going to have the very pretentious title of "The Frailty of Our Humanity Will Be the Saviour of Music." What do I mean by that? Well, I'm going to be performing on this with a band, okay? And I'm going to tell you the story of what happened. A few years ago, I went to a jam session. It was a jazz jam session, and a guitarist got up called Brian Neal. And he could play all the jazz. We did a Thelonious Monk tune. But he wasn't doing what everyone else was doing in the jazz world. He wasn't just trying to play the changes and play it nicely. He had a vibe. There was free jazz stuff in there. There was prog stuff in there. He had a sort of soloing approach that wasn't just rooted in the usual. He seemed to be coming much closer to like Eric Dolphy. Strange intervallic approaches. And I just thought, oh, this guy's bloody brilliant. And also, much more important, that I felt that there was a click between me and him in terms of playing. He was a very rhythmical player, very able to turn on a dime, you know, which is really important to me. I like to be able to react. I think music's about reaction. And if you can react quickly to something, somebody could just start and then you're in there with them, and then there's a togetherness. So this is why I talk about community and togetherness, because I think it's a really incredible value that is embodied in this type of music where that goes on. And this is why I don't like all the computerized music where everyone's not even in the same bloody country a lot of the time. And so there was an instant attraction between me and Brian musically. And we both knew it was there, and it's something that you can put your hands on, and it's solid. We both knew it was there. So Brian's carried on, and you know, we're on Facebook, and you know, he puts posts up. He's got a different outlook of life to me. You know, and different experiences, and I love that. I love different outlooks and different experiences. I love that, and so I've been listening to Brian, and I have really warmed to the guy as well. I think he's a lovely guy, an interesting guy. And so out of the blue, Brian messaged me. He said, "Do you want to form a band?" And I said, "Yeah, what do you want to do?" He said, "I just want to improvise, and I don't want to get stuck in the usual jazz cliches." Well, that's musical to my ears. So we needed a bass player. So Brian's done the work, and he put the word out. And a good friend of ours, Tony Kelsey, and another good friend of ours, Tom Hill, two incredible players, suggested a guy called Steve Wilson. The unfortunately named Steve Wilson. Not Stephen Wilson, no, it wasn't him. We would have had him in the band as well, believe it or not. But anyway, so this guy said he was up to, we never really met. We don't know each other. We don't know this Steve. Brian didn't know this Steve, and me and Brian have played together on one track. And so these guys turned up last night to the studio, right? And we all set up, we were all chatting like musicians do, and you're trying to work out who you know. Did you know so-and-so? Did you play that? Oh, did you know so-and-so? There's all these links between us that go back 30 years, even though we don't know each other. It's a wonderful thing, music is. So we sat there chatting about it all, you know, and Steve Wilson, I'll call him Steve because that's his name. I won't call him Steve Wilson. Steve gets his bass, and he's got all these bloody pedals. I thought, that's weird for a sort of jazz type player. He's got all these pedals, got wah-wah pedals and filters. Starts talking about the great Tony Levin. I thought, oh, we're into something here, right? And so we sit down. Brian starts playing something. No one discusses anything. I start playing. Steve starts kicking in, and we're in the middle of something. It's just on fire. I can't control it, right? I don't have to try and get the music to go somewhere, because if I just try and do something with Brian, then he's coming back at me, and I haven't had this for a while. It was so bloody exciting, and it was like suddenly, you go, whoa, and you couldn't hold on to it. So we played for a bit, and I stopped. I said, look, I know we've only just met, and we're just trying ideas out, but I think we should record this. And these are the sort of musicians I love. They went, yeah, record it then. So, you know, I mic'd on my drums room. Well, I just got everyone else mic'd up. So I hit record, and I thought, hang on. I'll film it as well. So I just banged the camera down anyway. It's for myself, right? So I filmed it as well, so I could go and watch it when I got home. And then when I got home, I watched it twice. I thought, there's something going on here. We played for 20 minutes. This is musicians that only just met. You are about to see this 20-minute track that was improvised on the spot by people who don't know each other really, that have never played together, but have a connection that not all musicians have, right? But there was a connection here, and I am fascinated by what that connection is. And I think when you hear music that's like this, I'm sure, even though this is very avant-garde, and even though this is formless in a way, and there's no like hooks and all that type of stuff, but it's genuinely what's really happened in the room. There's no editing at all in any shape or form. There are bits where, we do get a little bit lost. But you have to, when you're improvising, you can't just stay in the zone. If you stay in the zone, it gets boring. And this is one of the things I want to talk about here, is how important improvisation is. How important it is, right? So if we look at the history of music, right, this music that we love, right? I'm not a classical musician, okay? I didn't learn music by learning to read music, then reading the bits that I had to play. I've known musicians like that, and they're brilliant because they are there as machines to interpret what the composers put down on the page. And some of those could improvise, but many of them can't. Not at all, because they've never learned to do that. They're there as, their eyes comes out. That's how they play. I didn't learn to play like that. I learned to play by listening to records. No books, no knowing the words or names for anything. I would put a Rainbow album on and then try and listen to what the drummer was doing, then try and copy it myself, right? That's how I learned to play, okay? Because I got interested in progressive music, I then realised that to play complex music, I needed to learn to read music. So when I was 22, I started on the road to reading music. And I can read music. I can read very complex music, in fact, but I'm not a natural reader. It's a very odd thing. I'm not comfortable just sit there reading through music. I can sort of do it, but I use written music all the time. And there's certain stuff on this channel that you'll see is very dense that I've played. And of course, I couldn't have played that without being able to read music. But I've always had a troublesome relationship with reading music. When I got into the prog bands, we were playing a lot of stuff which was very written out. And those players, they're like classical players, they play the parts. And I had a bit of trouble. When I joined IQ, I said, I can't play the drum parts. So I don't play like that. I can play the arrangements, but I will be continually making up my own parts. And I realised there were certain points on their records where I had to play the sort of signature parts that they'd done before. And I grew tired of that, because really deep down, when I first started playing, what interested me was improvisation. I have a guitar here. That's a fifth, that is. Fifths are very in tune. When I play that, I don't feel like I'm playing it so much as listening to it. And it's very beautiful to me, that is. And this is why I did music. Because that sound is, I like it. If I put my hand down here, I'm still listening, I'm not playing. There's no music that I'm reading. There's no right or wrong. Now, for non-musicians, they might think that when I went for that note, right, that's a major 7 and it changed the harmony of it. I know all that stuff, but that is not what actually happened at that point. I literally wonder what that note sounds like. Sorry, my guitar's out of tune. Right, I'm listening to it like it's like, this is what I love about music, is being able to sit down and listen to a piece of music where you can go, oh, I like that. What happens if you do that to it? And you can actually, this is why it's so wonderful. And when you find other musicians with that, they provide something which is like magical. And then this thing emerges and it's like magic. And it's an incredible thing, right? Now, when going back, because I went off on a bit of a sidetrack, if we go back to the history of, 20th century popular music, the shock when recording was invented, because people have always done this, it's been this thing that everyone's done for millennia, right? But you could only hear it if you were there, right? And they might have, God knows how they did it, right? And you could only communicate these ideas for the people in your village. You can't see what someone was improvising on the other side of the world because you couldn't record it. Then recordings are invented. And they start recording everything, don't they? They're recording bits of Shakespeare, someone singing, Mary Had a Little Lamb, and some classical music and all that type of stuff, right? Recordings invented in late 1870s. They don't record any jazz till 1917. That's 40 years before anyone bothered to record any jazz or blues. When they recorded it, the music industry was born. And why? Because that music was improvised. Because improvisation and recording is incredibly powerful. Because rather than capturing the music through someone's mind and going through the sort of person's playing the notes, now you could just get that thing. So someone can go. Forget I had that there. What's going on with that? This is what suddenly is invented. Oh, like that's got a bit of attitude, Dave. It's like I'm walking down the road and I'm proud. I'm walking down the road proud. In fact, I could listen to it and imagine I'm proud. It can make me feel strong. I could not want to walk into that place, for that job interview because I feel a bit, but if I think of that riff, just go in with that. I'm in now, This is what music does. I'm explaining what music does. And there's a reason why I'm explaining what music does, because when recording was capturing improvisation, that's what it was capturing. And then everyone wonders, why was all the big band jazz? Why was all the blues? Why was all the rock and roll? Why was the Beatles? Why was all that so brilliant? And the reason why it was so bloody brilliant, because he was capturing that, right? And this recording studios got better and better at capturing that. And at some point, it goes beyond that. And now we can start to alter reality. We can have an ear on every single instrument in the room, and we can record things separate. We can get things more perfect. We can get them more nailed. We can get this, and this. And we have this golden period in rock music where the recording studio is allowing you to do absolute magic. The Beatles are the ones who really do this, Revolver and all that. And then you get bloody Pink Floyd, and then you got Close to the Edge and all this type of stuff. And then people realise it's no good, and they go back to punk, and Sex Pistols come in, and disco comes in, and they start capturing all that. But the recording technology, until it went digital, it had to sort of be played. And so you were always capturing that, the vibe, the feel. It's not just about making stuff up. It's vibe and feel as well, okay? That is what people were listening to. And then the digital recording came in and they could sample stuff. And eventually now, it's not just that computers could fix everything, tie everything to the grid, get every single note that's been sung and stick it to the grid, every single drum beat and latched onto the grid. We're now marching on the grid like this. And then they invent AI. And they think, I wonder if AI could copy what musicians could. Well, if you've if you've latched everything to the grid, believe it or not, yes, it can very easily. And so the popular music we have today, the stuff that's making money, that's out there, that is only there to do, to go on TikTok and have 2 bars of a sort of phrase that people shout. It's not music, sorry. The grid. It's the grid, right? And so now the grid's got so sophisticated that the grid, the AI, can go and listen to Bernard Purdie on drums or Jaco Pastorius on bass. It can listen to that. Go on, I can copy that if you want, because it's on a grid. It's just very complex. Yeah, I know, but that complexity, that's not written in stone. That was how that guy felt on the day. Well, I can't do that, but I could just replicate what he did on the day. And so AI is now replicating, whatever been Bernard Purdie, and this is like, I'm AI. I can do what musicians did. Well, I can do what Bernard Purdie did on an Aretha Franklin album in 1972. Well, can you come and do, so how do you feel, machine? Well, I've got no feelings, have I? There's no feelings. There's no feelings in music. So, how do we save music? We have to save music by understanding that this digital technology allows us to capture stuff way beyond what we could have captured in the 1970s. And what I mean by that is that you can now see it happening as well as hear it happening. You can close your eyes and listen to it. You can make records, you can make playlists, you can have it streaming, you can buy vinyl, and you can watch it. Now, what you're about to see was something that was captured literally no cost to anybody, and just, shall we record this? I stuck my camera down, it's my iPhone obviously, hit record on my digital recorder, it's all mic'd up in here. Right, go back 30 years, that would have cost you 3, 4, 5,000 quid to do. What you're about to see would have cost 5,000 quid. You could do it, probably more if you've got a TV crew, even with one camera, and then the quality wouldn't be as good anyway, right? These technologies enable us to capture the moment of creativity, right? It's what I do on this channel as well, because this value I have transmitted to this channel, right? Last week I got asked by Steve Gould to create a video to open up his prog festival with, and he wanted to do it with 2 puppets. So he turns up and he spent the whole weekend writing a very funny script out. And I started to read this script and I said, I wouldn't do it like this, Steve. He said, really? He's worked on this? I said, no, I would, what I would do is we'll put the puppets on, I'll be one or the other, we'll just busk it. We busked it, it was far more funnier. And the reason was because things came out and we reacted to things that we didn't expect. The human reaction to things is funny or it's compelling, right? I have just done a video this morning, right? And I was going through the worst genres of all time, and I put a false moustache on, and somehow it detached and went down my throat. I nearly choked to death. And in the choking to death, there was a point where I thought, this is brilliant YouTubing. That is the bit, it's the creativity, it's how you feel, but your feelings are really at their truest when they're reacting to something that you didn't expect. And you see a blip of humanity. And this is why the internet's so massive, because people will go onto Facebook or they'll go onto Instagram or TikTok and they'll see something happening in real life. Some woman is like locked out of their house and they try and climb in and they start laughing, and then, they get stuck in their top half sort of falls out, if you know what I mean. The next minute, these people are famous for 5 minutes, and they got like about 10 million people looking at the things popping out, but most of the videos, they blurred it out. Anyway, you're going off the subject here. That's the point. People want real life, and they're not getting it from their music, so the music's just become like a sort of background soundtrack, blah, blah, blah. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you the video, and I think this is the secret of music. Now, some of you are not going to like it. Some of you are going to get bored by it. But some of you may like it. So this is a bit of an experiment. These guys you're going to be seeing a lot more of, because I want them to come here and I want you to see. Because when I first put it to Brian, I said, I might record it. He said, well, let's have a play just to see how we get on together playing. And it was obvious that we should be recording it. I know that this will get better as well. And this is the aspect that I think that no one's considering, or one of the big aspects about modern digital technologies or social networks that musicians aren't considering. In the old days when you made an album, you presented you at your best, right? And that aspect almost has destroyed music, because now perfectionism is a thing in itself that people just enact superstitiously, right? But if there's a quality there, you could grab your audience, and the ones who are conducive to what you're doing will enjoy following you. Now, this is something I learned when I did my critique of The Warning. And when I was up against The Warning fans that were so vociferous in their hatred of me criticising their band, and the reason was because they'd followed that band from day one and they'd watched them get better. This is what creative musicians need to do. You need to reach out and say, this is what we're doing, this is what's going on. And the audience aren't there to see perfection, they're there to see humanity. And then it's just down to whether you actually have something reasonable to say. Okay, so what you're about to see now is an improvisation by a band that's never existed before, does not have a name at the moment. It's got Brian Neal on guitar, Steve Wilson on bass, myself on drums, and we improvised this.
Sorry to interrupt this show in this rude and annoying way, but I just wanted to tell you about a few ways that you can support me here on YouTube and get access to even more weirder and wackier content. First of all, you could become a patron. You could become a free member or a paid up member. I have over 300 extra videos on there, and if you don't even want to become a member, please pop over, because you can access my collections where you can purchase even more weirder and wackier video content. If you want to support me financially with a little tip, buy me some biscuits or maybe some crisps, you could pop over to my PayPal tip jar. I also have a Substack where I have lots of clever, academic and thought out articles where I explain my ideas on art, culture and creativity in a more intelligent way than I do here, plus a whole ton of podcasts. If you want to know what my music sounds like, you can pop over to my Bandcamp. Over there, you'll be able to listen to over 50 albums, and if you want to access them all, you could become a subscriber. And last but not least, if you want to support the wonderful studio where I film these lovely videos, which is actually a charity trying to help people out in the community become more creative, here is the website where you could drop a few pounds or dollars or whatever the currency is in your country in there. Thanks for listening, and back to the show.